She always told me she wanted freedom. That was her dream, her obsession. But what I didn't know at the time was that freedom for one sister meant captivity for me. And the deeper I got involved with them, the harder it became to tell who was really saving me and who was destroying me. It started like any other story of love. Ordinary. Simple. I met Emily first. She was the kind of woman who lit up a room without even trying. The way she laughed, the way she carried herself, it all felt effortless. She was bold, unpredictable, and she spoke about life like it was too small for her, like she wanted to run, to escape, to breathe in every bit of air the world had to offer. I was drawn in immediately, like gravity. But here's the thing. Emily came with shadows. And her shadow had a name, Claire, her younger sister. Now, you might think, siblings are supposed to be close. And yes, on the outside they were. Emily was the star. Claire was the quiet one orbiting around her. But there was something in Claire's eyes whenever she looked at me, something that made me feel both wanted and trapped. At first, I brushed it off. I thought maybe I was imagining it. Maybe she was just protective of her sister. Maybe she was just cautious. Families can be complicated. But then, little things started to add up. The way she always managed to be around when Emily and I were alone. The way she remembered every word I said, even the smallest details I'd forgotten myself. The way her hand lingered a second too long when she brushed past me. And through all of this, Emily kept talking about leaving. Leaving her family. Leaving the town. Leaving the cage she said she was born into. She wanted freedom. And every time she said it, she looked at me like I was supposed to be the one to give it to her. But here's the cruel twist in it all. While Emily was desperate to break free, Claire wanted the exact opposite. Claire wanted something permanent. Unshakable. She wanted me, forever. And when two sisters want two very different things, someone is bound to get hurt. I didn't realize how deep I was until the night it all came crashing down. Until the night I saw something I was never meant to see. Something that told me Emily's idea of freedom wasn't just about running away, and Claire's idea of love wasn't love at all. It was obsession. And obsession, once it takes root, doesn't just fade. It grows. It consumes. And sooner or later, it demands a price. The question is, whose price was I going to pay? Because on that night, I understood one thing with a bone-deep certainty. I wasn't just caught between two sisters. I was caught between freedom and forever. And there was no safe way out. When I first met Emily, it wasn't in some grand or dramatic way. It was at a cafe downtown, the kind of place where the coffee is too expensive and the music is just a little too loud. She was sitting by the window, sketching something in a notebook, her hair falling loose over her face. I almost walked past her, but then she looked up, and for a second, I felt like I'd been seen in a way no one had ever really seen me before. We started talking, casually at first. She had this energy that pulled you in, like every word mattered more than it should. She told me about her art, her dreams, her constant need to get away from this town that she said was choking her. Emily wanted to travel, to live without rules, without anyone holding her down. I was hooked on her vision of life, even if I didn't fully understand it. That's when Claire came into the picture. She was introduced to me at their family home one evening. Emily had insisted I come by for dinner. Claire was different from her sister in every way. Where Emily was fire, Claire was still water, quiet, steady, but with a depth you couldn't read right away. She had these piercing blue eyes that didn't blink as much as they should have, and when she shook my hand, her grip lingered, like she wanted to memorize the way it felt. At first, I thought she was just shy, the younger sister trying to fit in with Emily's loud, chaotic world. But slowly, I realized she was watching. Always watching. Her silence wasn't shyness, it was calculation. Emily would be talking about a new plan. Paris, New York, anywhere but here. And Claire would sit in the corner, her eyes flicking between us, her lips pressed into a thin line. Every time Emily spoke about leaving, Claire's shoulders stiffened, as if each word was a personal betrayal. The more time I spent with Emily, the more I felt Claire closing in. She'd find reasons to text me when Emily wasn't around. Questions about my day, about things Emily had mentioned about me. And when I'd answer politely, she'd push a little further, like she wanted more than I was willing to give. One evening, Emily and I went for a drive. She leaned her head against the window and said softly, "Sometimes I think Claire doesn't want me to leave. Like she needs me here. Like she needs us here." She laughed it off, but there was something heavy in her tone. It was the first time I realized this wasn't just about Emily's dream of freedom. There was a tether holding her back, and that tether had Claire's name all over it. Still, I didn't know just how strong that tether really was. Not yet, because soon, I would discover that Claire's love wasn't something you could step away from. It wasn't something you could reason with. It was the kind of love that burned quietly until it consumed everything in its path. And I was already standing too close to the fire. It didn't take long before the tension between Emily and Claire started spilling out in ways I couldn't ignore. What had once been subtle glances and quiet remarks turned into moments that felt heavy, dangerous even. Emily would talk about leaving, about me going with her, and Claire would suddenly cut in, her voice sharper than usual. "You always say that, Em. You'll never leave. You can't." Her words weren't just casual, they carried weight, almost like a warning. Emily would roll her eyes, but I could see the frustration brewing between them. One night, after Emily dropped me off, I got a text from Claire. Just one line. She doesn't know what she wants. But I do. I stared at my phone, unsure how to respond. Part of me thought she was just being protective, maybe even jealous of her sister's attention. But another part of me felt uneasy. Why was she reaching out to me at all? Why did her words sound so final? The cracks widened from there. Emily began opening up more, whispering that Claire had always been controlling, that she'd follow her around, that she couldn't stand the thought of Emily having a life outside their house. "It's like she thinks I belong to her," Emily muttered one evening, her voice trembling. And yet, I couldn't shake the way Claire looked at me when she thought no one was watching. Not anger, not hate, something else, something that sent a chill down my spine. The breaking point came at their home one weekend. Emily had invited me over for dinner again, insisting things would be normal. But halfway through the meal, she announced she'd made up her mind. She was moving away in a few months. Claire froze, fork clattering onto her plate. Then, slowly, she turned her gaze toward me. "You'll go with her?" she asked. The room went quiet. Emily laughed nervously, trying to brush it off, but Claire didn't break her stare. Her eyes locked onto mine, cold and unwavering. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just about Emily anymore. It was about me. And Claire wasn't going to let either of us walk away without a fight. The night after that dinner, I couldn't shake the way Claire had looked at me. It wasn't just a glare, not simple anger. It was possession. The kind of look that makes you feel like your choices are no longer your own. I tried to convince myself it was all in my head, but the truth kept pressing against me. Claire wasn't going to let us go. Emily, though, seemed more determined than ever. "We'll leave soon," she whispered one night, her hand gripping mine like it was the only thing keeping her steady. "I don't care if she hates me for it. I need this. I need us." But the harder Emily pulled toward freedom, the harder Claire pulled us back into her grip. Strange things started happening. Emily's car tires slashed in the middle of the night. A travel bag she'd packed went missing from her closet, only to reappear days later at the foot of her bed, half emptied. And once, when I stayed late at their house, I woke up in the guest room to find the door locked from the outside. I never told Emily. I didn't want to make her more afraid than she already was. Still, I couldn't ignore it anymore. Claire wasn't just protective. She was watching. She was controlling. And she was getting bolder. One evening, Emily and I sat on the porch, talking about plans to move in together somewhere far away. For the first time, she seemed hopeful, her laughter spilling out into the warm night air. But then, through the screen door, I saw Claire standing in the hallway, half hidden in the shadows. She didn't say a word. She just stood there, her eyes locked on me, unblinking. I felt the chill crawl up my spine. Later that same night, after Emily fell asleep, I went to grab a glass of water. The kitchen was dark except for the glow of the refrigerator light. That's when I heard it, her voice. Low, close. "You don't understand her like I do," Claire whispered from the doorway. I turned, startled, and found her standing only a few feet away. "She always talks about leaving. She won't. She can't. You'll see. And when she doesn't, you'll realize you were meant to stay. With me." The words hit me like a weight pressing on my chest. I wanted to tell her she was wrong, that Emily and I were going to leave no matter what. But my voice caught. The way she looked at me, calm, almost serene, was more terrifying than if she'd screamed. I left the kitchen without another word, but sleep never came that night. Every creak of the floorboards, every brush of wind against the window made me wonder if she was outside my door, waiting. Emily still believed escape was possible, but I was starting to see something she couldn't. Claire wasn't just holding her back. She was planning something. And whatever it was coming soon. I thought Claire's obsession with me was the worst part of it. I thought the danger was in her eyes, her whispers, her constant shadow. But then, Emily confessed something that shattered everything I believed. We were packing late one night, stuffing clothes into bags before Claire got home, when Emily suddenly froze. Her hands trembled as she said, "There's something I never told you. Claire isn't just obsessed with you. She's obsessed with us." I frowned, confused, but the fear in Emily's face told me it was no joke. She leaned in closer, her voice barely audible. "When we were younger, she told me if I ever left her, she'd make sure no one ever had me. And if someone tried to take me away," Emily's voice cracked, "she swore she'd rather see me dead than see me free." The air left my lungs. This wasn't about jealousy. This wasn't about love twisted into obsession. This was about control, absolute control. And before I could respond, the floorboards creaked. We turned. Claire was standing in the doorway, smiling faintly, like she'd been listening the whole time. The moment Claire stepped into that doorway, time seemed to freeze. Emily's breath hitched, my pulse hammered in my ears, and Claire just smiled. Not wide, not manic, just calm. Too calm. "You think you can leave?" she whispered, stepping closer. "You think you can take her from me?" Emily's voice shook. "Claire, please. This isn't healthy. I can't stay here forever." But Claire didn't even look at her. Her eyes stayed locked on me, as if Emily were already gone. "You don't understand," she said softly. "She belongs here. With me. And so do you." I grabbed Emily's hand and pulled her toward the back door, but Claire was faster. She lunged, shoving Emily against the wall. The crash echoed through the house. I tried to tear her away, but she was stronger than I ever imagined. Her grip like steel, her face twisted with something darker than anger. "Run!" Emily gasped. For a split second, I hesitated. Then instinct took over. I shoved Claire back hard, grabbed Emily's arm, and dragged her outside into the night. We sprinted through the yard, the sound of footsteps pounding behind us. We barely made it to the car. I fumbled with the keys, hands shaking, when I saw her in the rearview mirror, standing at the edge of the driveway, watching us. She didn't chase. She didn't scream. She just smiled again. And in that smile, I realized something chilling. We had escaped the house, yes. But this wasn't over. Not even close. Because people like Claire don't let go. They wait. And deep down, I knew she would find us again. For days after that night, I couldn't shake the image of Claire standing in the driveway, watching us disappear. That calm smile, that quiet promise, it haunted me more than if she had screamed or chased us. It was the certainty in her eyes that terrified me. She wasn't defeated. She was waiting. Emily and I left town the very next morning. No goodbyes, no explanations. Just 2 packed bags and a car pointed toward anywhere but there. For the first few hours, she didn't say a word. Her hand just rested in mine, trembling, as the road stretched on endlessly ahead of us. Eventually, she whispered, "I'm sorry. I should have told you sooner." I shook my head. "None of this is your fault." But part of me wondered, was it? Had Claire always been this way because of Emily's fear of leaving? Or had Emily stayed too long, letting the obsession grow roots too deep to cut? These were questions we couldn't answer, not now. What mattered was distance. And yet, even with miles behind us, I felt Claire's presence like a shadow clinging to my back. Every time a car followed too closely, every time I caught a figure in the corner of my eye, I half expected it to be her. Emily tried to rebuild her sense of freedom. She talked about art again, about traveling, about the life she wanted us to have. I tried to believe in it with her, to picture a future untouched by Claire's grip. But late at night, when the world was quiet, Emily would jolt awake from nightmares, whispering, "She's here." And sometimes, I almost believed she was. Weeks turned into months. We built a fragile peace, learning to laugh again, to live again. But deep down, the unspoken truth lingered. You can leave a place, you can run from a person, but obsession follows. One evening, as we settled into our new apartment, I found a letter slipped under the door. No name, no return address, just 4 words written in delicate handwriting I knew too well. Forever means forever. I didn't tell Emily. Not yet. She was finally smiling again, finally breathing without fear. I folded the letter, tucked it away, and told myself it was probably nothing. But in my heart, I knew better. Freedom is never simple when someone else decides they own you. And sometimes, no matter how far you run, the past has a way of catching up. So when Emily laughs now, I laugh with her. When she talks about Paris or New York, I nod. I dream with her. But a part of me always listens for footsteps outside our door. A part of me keeps waiting for the shadow to return. Because Claire had made a promise. And promises like hers are never broken.